Hello and welcome to week 7 of the Road to London Paula's Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And this week we have some extra inspiration and motivation from a tough guy of marathon. Callum Hawkins joins us to give us a bit of an insight into what keeps him going and what helped him to gauge the marathon so perfectly well. Plus, we have Harry Judd and Gab dropping in just to give us a bit of an update on how their training rivalry, should we call it, Thommo, is going.
Close friendship.
Supporting each
Very
other.
close friendship, yes. Sporting friendship, yeah.
Okay, so Thommo, week 7, time to start thinking about those little things, perhaps, making sure that there's a bit more of we know we've talked about the long run building up, but making sure that you do keep something a little bit quicker, mainly for the fun element, as well as keeping your legs turning over at that speed in there. And perhaps a little bit of advice off the back of last week, just to change up the shoes a little bit, make sure that you have different pairs of shoes that you're rotating, if you can, in the build up, to make sure that your feet stay adaptable.
I think that's what I'm looking forward to with Callum, sort of delving into that, because he's actually one of those rare athletes that's kind of bridged the carbon sort of revolution. He did a lot of his early marathons and his early career without carbon, and now obviously the implementation of them, and it was interesting. Be interesting to talk to him about the fact that in Rio, when he was 9th, there were athletes that had the technology and athletes that didn't, which is tough.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, typical Callum. I'd love to see how he gets his head around that, because there are elements of unfairness in that time, weren't there, where some people had access to it and some people didn't, and we were all still learning about the advantages that could come from not just racing in them, but consistently training in the new technologies as well. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see, and also a big fan of Callum. I commentated on him in those 2017 World Championships and 2019 World Championships, where he came away with a 4th place. Hugely tough racer and runner, who also didn't really complicate it, didn't overcomplicate it, never seemed in awe of the athletes that he was racing against. He was just very, very good at running his race, sticking to his race. Actually reminded me a lot of John Brown, who also has 2 4th place, but Olympic level in the marathon. Another guy who just knew how to get the very best out of himself and not be sucked and dragged into other people's races. And I think everyone can learn from that a little bit as you get ready to go into the London Marathon. Make sure you stick to your race plan.
For sure. And we do need to, we're British, so we do have to talk about the weather as well. So, and about his heat adaptation from his unfortunate.
Oh, I thought you meant the weather right now. Yeah, we do need to talk about how, for a British runner, for a Scottish runner. For a Scottish runner, he was very, very good in the heat, wasn't he?
He was.
So it certainly showed that in Doha. I also want to big us up a little bit, or thank basically all of the Paula's Run Club community. We are now have listeners coming in from 118 countries. So thank you very much. Give us a big shout out. I know we're getting lots of questions. I know. Well, how many are there? Are there 200 and...
Oh, don't embarrass us.
There are 220 something maybe national federations for world athletics, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah. And a huge big thank you, because I'm sure all of those 200 and something don't speak English. So big thank you to everybody. And don't forget that if you want to write in with any of the questions, that the shakeout drops every Thursday, and you can send those in to the email address, which is paula's@momentumbroadcast.co.uk. You can send them in on socials at Paula's Run Club, and you can give us a follow as well. And you can WhatsApp in messages or video messages to +44 7564 747 914. And let's see if we can get it over 120.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be very good.
And all of those listening in colder climes, shall we say, or wetter climes, or even just the same as in the UK right now, biggest tips and biggest wet weather tip, Thommo, from you. I mean, I know it sounds psychologically maybe a bit silly, but if I put a cap on, it's never as bad when it's raining. I think I just don't like the rain to go into my eyes.
Completely agree. Yeah. No, I would, if I had to choose one sort of item over, like, obviously shorts, pants and the rest, the essentials, I would pick a hat over a rain jacket.
Yeah.
Like if I had to choose,
Well,
I'd have both, but
yeah.
I would pick hat for me completely. I think the thing that I'm an extremities kind of person. Like, and what I mean by that is I'd rather wear gloves to keep them warm throughout a run rather than full kind of tracksuit up. So I like to
Yeah.
keep skin in the game, so to speak, like with my legs out and sort of, and even with my arms, if I wear a rain jacket, I like those sort of gilet ones where it's armless, but I have gloves, so it almost looks a bit wacky. But when you're running and my temperature goes up, I need escapism, and when you're wet, you're wet. So
Yeah, well, that's
you
the other
know,
thing. Once you're wet, you're actually, the more kit you've got on, the more water
it'll weigh you
weight that you're
down.
kind of carrying around. So, yeah, if you can layer up lightweight stuff that is water resistant, have a cap on, and also kind of embrace it. I mean, go back to being a kid. I can remember when we were out as girls kind of training and tipping it down, and you'd actually run through the puddles and just splash everyone else just to kind of like be that kid again. And so kind of make it fun and try and not let the weather beat you. Just go out and have fun in it. Snow is far better to have fun in though.
No, and don't forget when you get back from a wet run to dry your shoes, because there's nothing worse than
Not by
forgetting
putting
that
them in
and
the
then
tumble dryer. Not by putting
no,
them in
no.
the tumble
Well,
dryer
yeah,
though.
you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
say about that. Don't do the dirt. It's
I
like so.
know.
It would be. I mean, we don't really have
And don't
newspapers
do what
anymore,
my
but
son
like,
did last week, by the way.
what was
Left the
that?
muddy spikes with the socks in the bag because Mum will do it when I get back.
I've done that before.
But stupid mum did do it though.
Did it? Was it long enough that the socks kind of went a bit crispy, dried with all the
Well, I
mud?
mean, they kind of were very, very brown. And then he said, "Oh, it was like really muddy, the muddiest cross country you've ever seen." So I found some videos of proper British cross country and then showed them to him. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, maybe it wasn't that bad."
Yeah, that's the one thing about kit when you come back from a run, whether it's muddy cross country, whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to look after your kit straight away because the
But
first thing you think is
especially, like you
shower.
say, the shoes. The shoes are the
Yeah.
key things because if you can stuff them with like an old towel, an old t-shirt, an old duster, anything to absorb the water from the inside, and then put them in a warm, like airing cupboard or near a radiator, but not right touching it because you don't want the
Well,
heat to affect the cushioning or the glue or anything that's holding them together.
well, I was going to say the other thing as well. It's not just about being convenient to use the next day. It's about longevity of equipment
Yeah.
because equipment's not cheap anymore. So it's even with rain jackets. I think I really notice if I just leave a rain jacket wet or a knot and I don't take care of a rain jacket, it ages quickly and it loses its integrity. So looking after your kit when you're investing that kind of money in these things is important. So to
Do you know how to?
prioritize. No, go. I
Go on, give
actually,
the
I just
tip. So for rain
go on.
jackets, apparently that you're not so you're supposed to wash them and you're not supposed to put fabric conditioner in because the way
Okay.
that the rain jacket keeps out the rain is the fibers basically kind of stick out and repel the water. But if you smooth all those down, the water will come through. So you should wash them, but not with fabric conditioner.
See, I always
Apparently,
do stuff like that, and I with on a low, like a quick wash, like not a heavy kind of cottony, kind of heavy
yeah.
duty, high temperature. I do low temperature, light wash for anything like that, especially dry fit clothing.
Yeah.
So again, with the conditioner, that's a good point because I think I do. So, but again, I don't dry fit or rain jackets in a tumble dryer. I let
No.
them dry in a airing cupboard or like hanging up because again the dryers just destroy dry fit, or I use the word dry fit. I think there's other kind of materials out
Yeah.
there, but yeah, running kit is very precious and you do need to look after it.
Brilliant. So, one man who probably knows a lot about wearing rain jackets and caps in the Scottish weather as he's training is the man who we have coming up next. Doesn't need much introduction. It is Callum Hawkins, legendary fourth places in the 2017 World Championships, 2019 World Championships, and as he will tell us, 2:08 in London 2019, pre-Supershoes. And now for our week 7 guest of the Road to London Paula's Run Club. It is time that we got somebody on to really help, I think, with the mental strength and the mental fortitude and just when the going gets tough, really knuckling down and getting that work done. can't think of anyone better for this, Thommo, than the man on the screen right now. Callum Hawkins is our top finisher at a World Championships twice, fourth at a World Championships. Peter Whitehead did it once in 95. Callum did it back to back in 2017 and 2019. We have, of course, had John Brown do a couple of fourth places at the Olympic Games and Charlie's bronze, but really right up there with British performances, and it has to be fair said, in tough conditions as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, welcome, Callum. Like it's a privilege as well because we have been teammates in the past. Like it's one of the we were talking before we came on. One of the last times we were with each other was at Tokyo Olympics, running around.
Yeah. I'd also put rivals as well.
Well, do you know what? That's flattering. To say rival would suggest I was on a par with you, which I would not put myself anywhere near your stratosphere of marathon ability, mate. You are a far better athlete. But for the sake of, listeners and that, I think it's worth sort of just talking about your first marathon back in 2015 in Frankfurt, because you didn't just come into marathon slowly. You hit it pretty hard with a 2:12 in Frankfurt, which is really impressive for anyone starting a marathon for the first time.
Yeah, that was back when 2:12 was quick. It's not as quick
It still is. It still is.
As it is nowadays. No, that was I like to say I copied my brother. He came in quite early as well. I was only like 23, I think, at the time. And I'd just gone through a season of trying to do the traditional, go down to 5k, speed up, and try and get some speed in the legs, and it just didn't work. And then I think the Olympic time came out for Rio. It was 2:14. It'd gone up from 2:12 to 2:14, which I thought was still tough at the time, but doable. So I just thought, let's do it. Might as well go for it, see what happens, and if it doesn't work for the marathon, I can always go back down to the 10 and see how it goes.
But did you, when you were doing it, going into to running that marathon? I mean, you say just go for it like it's a thing. I mean, you'd been a runner for a long time. I know you said 23, but I mean, speaking to people that knew you, they said you seemed to have a natural gift for threshold running, that longer run. It seemed to come quite naturally to you. So did you feel like it was, even though you were 23, did you feel like there was this pull that actually there's something within me that enjoys this kind of thing and my body agrees with it?
Enjoy? It's a different thing. I mean,
you can make a game out of it, put it that way.
Yeah, you've both been there, hurting for a long time, never enjoyable. That was just, as an athlete, my main thing was always longer. When you're a younger athlete, you're kind of limited in how far you go. I was always at top end. Like when you're under 15, 3K was my best event. Cross country was definitely where I thrived the most as a younger athlete. So I kind of knew I was always going to have to move up to the marathon at some point, and it was going to be my stronger thing. I'm a big diesel engine.
That's, I think, a really interesting point, Callum, about the cross country. And it's a point that I've kind of made a lot of times, because I'm also a big believer that cross country prepares you psychologically and physically, but psychologically really, really well for the marathon, because it's all about getting the best out of your body over that given course. And it's kind of similar in the marathon. You have to be able to know when to focus and know when to kind of relax a little bit, but maintain a level of focus, and kind of to run to your strengths on the course. And that's something that you demonstrated really, really well over the marathon. Did you find it easy to transition into that marathon mindset?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I was doing a lot of training on my own, which I know a lot of people now seem to train as groups, but I think with the marathon you do need to learn to be able to push yourself, and not, especially in a championship marathon, you need to be able to know to keep your foot on the gas the whole time, especially towards the end. There's no letting up. And I think, again, with cross country to marathon, being a front runner, it does seem to work a bit better than it does for the track. Being a front runner is not as optimum for the track as it would be for cross country and marathon, and me not having a bit of a sprint finish would lead me towards being a front runner, which is again why I moved up to the marathon.
But do you know what's really I found really interesting, and I'm keen to ask you about. Obviously, we've got you on the pod, so I can, but because you did that 212 in 2015, and you kind of you were a bit duck to the water, taking a duck like taking to water, whatever the saying is, and you went 8th in London major with a 210, and then went to the Olympics and finished 9th in the Olympics in 211, and then came back to the cross country later that year and finished 3rd at the Eurocross. And I just was thinking, like, that progression in itself is incredible to do that, but there seemed to be a real knock-on effect to your shorter distances of a huge jump. So did you feel the training or just the effect of the marathon? What do you think contributed to that?
I think it was a bit of the training. I'm more of a strength-based aerobic athlete. I do get quite stale just when I try and do it. Like when I try to target the 5K, I get a bit stale and just go off the boil when I try and do speed work. So I think, pushing up that, making sure I keep my high threshold as high as possible helps. And I think you said it before, Paula, that doing the marathon does build that huge strength base and can really benefit the 10K.
Yeah,
So
and I think
I think was part of it was also just I'd performed at the world stage and like just that confidence and that momentum. You know, you think you're invincible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely key. You saw, watching you grow confidence-wise. There was a bit more belief in what you were capable of and in what you could do when you stood on the start line, and certainly when you committed in races. And I think that was reflected in all of it. And certainly, I mean, you said back when we said you ran 212, back when 212 was fast, you kind of bridged that era where Supershoes started to come in, people started to chase fast times, but you always were far more bothered about the championship races and about performing at the championships, and your results back you up, your resume backs you up over that. I'm just interested as to kind of what you feel looking back. At what point did you start to, or did you transition to racing in Supershoes, and when did you become aware of other people being in them?
Well, obviously I realised from Rio, because I think the top 3 had the original Nikes or the prototypes, and then obviously I think 2017 World Champs, the winner had them, I think. Yeah, but again,
where you were 4th
how...
again, where that's your first 4th at the World Champs, wasn't it? Yeah.
And I didn't realise at the time, I was always a bit of a shoe nerd. I didn't realise at the time, though, that they would have that much of a benefit. So I was gladly, at the time, I was with New Balance at the time, so I didn't need to worry about shoes. I didn't have a choice to choose what shoes I were running. So I was luckily I was a bit naive to it at that time. But yeah, it's really exploding. It's a tough one with the shoes, you know, because my PB is actually in non-carbons. It's in traditional.
I was going to ask.
That was what we were going to ask.
I was going to ask you. Your 218 in London in 2019 is pre-carbon.
Yeah,
2.8.
That was.
What did I say?
Before New Balance.
218.
Carbon shoe.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
My 60 flat as well is in non-carbons.
See, that is hugely impressive, and whether you're a responder or not a responder, I guess the point I'm trying to make is now we kind of look at it that everybody's got the choice, got the opportunity, got the availability to be able to wear the carbon shoes. Yes, some respond more than others, but it kind of feels fairer. At the time where you were competing, it was really a case of some have, some don't, and that I think really did make a key difference, not only in the times and the places, but in the impact on your body, because your body was absorbing the training. And one of the big things in my mind with the shoes coming in and the cushioning is that it's changed the face of the marathon from 30k onwards, and the way that you feel. And that was where you were strong, like you were closing in Doha.
I'm not sure. I think it was Steph Bruce. Sorry, I think it's one of your friends, Thomas.
Yes, I know Steph.
He said you can make more mistakes and get away with it with a marathon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a great thing of you can just go out and hold on. Whereas with pre-carbon, it was like getting punched in your quads for 2 hours. Just light punches. So by the end of it, your legs were just not giving you any power, and it's just about making your legs move. I think when I ran, no, it wasn't my 2, it was when I ran my 2:10. My feet were tingling for the last 2 miles. But you just got to like kind of push through it. But yeah, I think as well, I can't remember who I was talking to, that, but the carbons have allowed this double threshold as well to become a thing. You can just train more with less impact on the body with this new foam. That's something I actually was in a call years ago with New Balance talking about what should do for shoes. It was just before carbons, and I was pushing, give me more foam, give me more protection, give me a bigger shoe. But the other athletes were all a bit lightweight. So.
So I want to take you, and Paula just alluded to it then, because you. Actually, no, I'll come back. I want to go back a year before I asked this question about Doha when you finished 4th, because I think the story is quite poignant when we think back to Callum and Gold Coast and what happened to you there, and just the heat and what happened. I think just if you don't mind just talking a little bit what happened that day, because there is a happy ending a year later in Doha and similar conditions, but for a lot of people watching, that was tough, and just your well-being was the biggest concern for everyone, I think.
Yeah, I've been being an athlete in this stuff. I'm quite good at just putting things to the back of the head and moving on. I think we're all that. It's one of these things. It's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I forget I've got a bronze medal from the European Olympics because I just move on.
Yeah.
But with that, yeah, I just moved on. It wasn't much to me at the time. I think people think it was a bit of a tougher subject for me to talk about, but. Just going into that, I was out for 5 weeks, so it wasn't like I just turned up and wasn't. I did all the research and everything about the heat, did everything I could, but I got. It was a mixture of things. I got a bad reaction to a bug bite 10 days before, and I was on anti-inflammatories, which I found out after the fact it doesn't mix well with the heat, or your ability to deal with the heat, but. Part of it was I just put my foot down too early as well. And my dad and myself did a lot of research on all the other athletes in the world. A lot of them, like the boy who won it, Mike Shelley, was really fast in the last 2K. There was a Kenyan guy who won the Gold Coast Marathon. He was very quick over the last 2K. So I had that in the back of my mind. I didn't realise how much, this is going to sound a bit arrogant, how much better than I was on the day than them. I didn't know I had 2 minutes. Had I known that, I probably would have taken my foot off the gas.
That's one of the key parts that I remember, because we were commentating on you, and then you stated afterwards, or I read somewhere, that because you got into such distress that you were actually hallucinating, weren't you? And you thought people were closing on you, or you thought you were being given the instructions to pick it up.
I just presumed they were close.
Yeah.
I just presumed they were close.
But you had a phenomenal gap, and then when you started to suffer, you actually went faster.
Yeah,
you actually picked it up.
Sometimes you kind of just knuckle down.
Yeah, and that was the kind of the last bit of damage then. But I think the part that Thommo's alluding to, and you'll talk us through how you managed to do this, but it's a phenomenally difficult thing to come back from as an athlete, something like that. And you bounce right back. First to, was it the personal best in London then, straight after that?
About a year later. The mental side wasn't too bad. I'm pretty good at that. I just don't think about things.
Which is not a bad thing for marathon sometimes.
Yeah.
But what did you do? I'm intrigued on terms of, like, cause obviously preparing for Doha, which was a slightly longer. So you ran the PB in London, and then Doha was later in the summer. So it was 15, 16 months post that. Did you take any learnings or anything to help you prepare for Doha slightly differently or better? Because obviously finishing 4th in Doha in the World Championships was a huge one, and I'd love to hear more about how you handle the breakdown of it. But just specifically on the heat, what did you do in preparation for that?
So I worked a lot with Andy Shaw from British Athletics. He was very good. Changed some stuff. Talking to him, apparently, so during the marathon I was throwing ice caps on every 5K. I was getting them with my bottles. Apparently that's not actually that good for the heat, because the ice pack sits in your head and it just cools your brain. It doesn't actually cool your body, and then your body obviously thinks, your brain's like, I'm not warm, I'm cool, because I think your thermal regulations in the bit at the back, so I can't remember what the
Yeah,
section
it's the
that
back
the
of your
brain's
neck.
called. Yeah, and if that thinks it's cool, you're just going to you're going to feel like you're fine. So we had a plan of actually no caps till the last. I think it was the last 10k or last 20 minutes. I can't remember exactly. And then put it on when it's time, when you know you're safe to just knuckle down and push, because it's not with the heat. It's not necessarily what your peak body core temperature is. It's how long you're there that does the damage.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, even in a normal cold day, you'll be peaking up 40, I think 41 degrees and be okay.
So what were you doing in the
so-
race to kind of keep the temperature down? So
Yeah, because
what
you were
kind of
very
things?
smart the way you pick the pace up. I mean, you started, I can't remember exact, but from memory, I think you were outside the top 50, 60 on the first lap. And then you were kind of moving through. And you remind us again how far off that bronze medal you were, because you weren't very far at all. If it had been half a kilometre further, I think you'd have got it. Yeah. You were
Yeah,
closing phenomenally quickly.
yeah. I think I was 40 seconds behind the front at most. I was lucky. I was having a guy that, I don't know if any of you ran into, does the elite field for Beach to Beacon. He was just shouting out the times, which really helped. And I had physio Alex Gorman. He was at a spot where nobody was, again, shouting just before one of the turns, shouting out how far I was behind. But I was just kind of running my own race, running my own pace. I wasn't thinking too much about it. We did a lot. My dad did a lot of research and knew about halfway there's always a massive dig in a championship, really quick. And I knew that it usually goes like, you start dropping like 250 kilometers, and I was like, I can't do that in the middle of the race without redlining too much. And I knew Tedeschi, who is notorious for just taking it on and pushing it far too hard, so I knew he would do it at some point. I think it went to 21k, and I just picked up a little bit just to not let the gap get too much, but then just, kept focused. Once everyone went with him and started blowing up, I just kept focusing on the next person. And then it was a little bit of a fluke that I caught them with 2k to go, the lead guys.
Fluke. But what?
No, I mean, I think you talk yourself.
TV, I was going to say, on the TV, it was very, very dramatic when you caught, because it was like you caught the lead three, they were away, and you got there, like, and it was 2k to go. Like, what was going through your head? Did you realise firstly that they were the three medalists? That between the four of you, there were three medalists going to come out of it, and did you think about catch them and just keep going?
So I caught four people, so I brought the gap up to five, and I knew they were playing games. You could see, because of the pace difference. I think I caught 10 to 18 seconds really quickly on them.
Yes.
And so I knew with that corner, and I'm pretty good on corners from cross country background. I did it in the New York half. I dropped a lot of people. There was like almost a 180-degree turn, and you just hit it hard, and you just kind of try and break the elastic.
I know the one you mean, yeah.
You break the elastic because I don't have really the best acceleration, and I knew they were waiting for a sprint finish as well. So I had the idea, they're not going to want to go hard right now, so I'll just hit them while I've got the momentum. And also, I just caught them. I think you watch it back, a couple of them are a bit shocked that this random guy appears. I think they probably thought I was unlapping myself at the time. But so I just hit them hard. I managed to burn the South African Stephen Makoku, and then I just kept the foot to the floor and hoped I could burn them all. But unfortunately, there were some really world-class athletes,
yourself included.
I mean, it was a phenomenal run, and you make it sound really simple. Don't think you fully understand the mental strength and fortitude that you did display in so many of your races, and that kind of is within you. Do you know, what is your coping technique when it gets really tough, when it gets really painful? Is there something that you do, or is it something that's so deep within you you're not even aware that you're doing it?
It's always been a bit of my strength, the kind of mental side. But when I'm really struggling, I just do the simple focus on a point. You know, for instance, get to 35k, then get to 36. It can even be as simple as that, or get to that corner and then next to them, just break down, shorten everything.
Yeah.
It's like you get to the last k and it's like that'll take care of itself. It's the bit just before it, yeah.
I wish that was for me.
No, but it's so right. I
felt
mean,
every
for
step of
most
the last
marathon
K. I know he
runners,
is,
yeah, you feel it, but you don't have to worry about the mental side of it because you know you're going to get there. You're not going to stop in that last K, are you? It's the bit before that Callum's right. You kind of break it down, and just keep it as simple as possible, just to make your brain keep moving forward, and then your body keeps moving forward because your brain's telling it to.
Yeah, you're basically breaking it up into mental intervals. You know, if I asked you to go do 3 flats for 10k for training, you'd be like, oh, I can't be bothered. But do 10 by a k at that. It's a bit simpler.
So now, since then, because honestly, those two performances they're in the record books forever, as you're historically a British marathon legend. But where are you now at since then? I mean, obviously, especially with carbon shoes, now that you actually have access to them, how are you finding them?
They're good. It's a weird one. You just kind of get used to them. I've gone back and tried to wear what I raced in. I'm like, how the hell did I race in that?
Me too.
It's like running on bricks, but at the time it's not fun.
Running on bricks.
It is. It's rock hard.
Try running in the shoes from the 90s, mate.
I know. That's what I'm like. They're all like fashion shoes now. So it's a bit. Probably have to adapt. You don't feel anywhere near beat up. I think the first time I probably got when the finalised shoes was London 24, I think. I wasn't super fit. Just lots of injuries and I broke my collarbone just before it, or like a couple of months before it. But I I need to get a marathon behind me. And after that, my legs were so much better. I could actually walk. I could walk about.
Have you adapted your training much with them now?
Well, this time around for my attempt at Valencia, we actually just, for instance, we'd normally do 11 times a K in and out, just above marathon, just below. But now we got up to like 14 or 15 sets. So you can just do like that little bit more. I've not been able to push that too much just because since basically COVID, I've been quite injury prone. So we've had to manage mileage a bit. But
on that, Callum, do you think in any way that if you'd had access to the shoes earlier, that you maybe wouldn't have got so many injuries, that those injuries are kind of a byproduct of the fact that mentally and physically your body was able to train very hard to get yourself the results that you did, but it kind of wasn't sustainable? Whereas if you'd had access to those shoes, perhaps you could have done that volume of training and more without the injury risk.
Potentially, but I actually got more injured once I started running in the shoes.
Okay.
A year solid. The first time I got the New Balance's first version was 2019, so Doha was the first time I raced, and the carbons, but I don't think they were as developed as other ones. Because that's one thing. I think there's been a lot more different types of injuries that I brought in through them, just because I think the load. I don't know how much the research is fully finalised with that, but I think the load can change in how you run.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, we were having this discussion yesterday, weren't we, Thommo, with how the plate can make certain injuries and how it switches off your foot muscles and stops those working. And then, did I have the discussion with you, Thommo? You can help us with this, Callum. We were discussing cross-country and the fact that now carbon plates are starting to come into cross-country. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because in my mind, if it's a really muddy, technical cross-country course and your foot can't move freely, you're more at risk of slipping.
I think, if you go over your ankle, it might be worse. Because there's less. Say you hit a stone or a tree root and you go over your ankle, there's obviously less flex in your foot. Could potential. It's a tough one. So, with some shoes, like if you go over a rough pavement, they're fine, and then other ones it's horrible.
Yeah.
You're just getting flung all over the place with how solid the plate is. So I think it would depend on how they've tuned the carbon plate, how much the foam is, and everything. I've not actually done any cross
Yeah,
country
no,
with
I
carbon
think
plate.
I'm talking more about the fact that young athletes might think, okay, I've got carbon plates. Because to be honest, when I was a kid, I would race in track spikes on the cross country. And so then they're
Same.
taking the track spikes onto the cross country. I think there is that danger now because cross country spikes are probably not designed with the same plate as a track spike.
Yeah,
I'm just guessing. It might be a question for the shoe designer when we get him on.
Yeah, the big thing might be the more foam underfoot as well, because traditionally track spikes had like nothing. You don't need as much. You don't really need that as much foam for cross. Well, in my opinion.
I'm totally with you there. It's only going to gather mud and stop you feeling the floor, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just more softness to throw you off and make things a bit more unstable.
Callum, something that one of our conversations we had in Tokyo that I found very fascinating was because obviously you have had injuries, but even before where it kind of really set you back in the pandemic, you had issues, but you managed to bridge the gap between injuries and still perform at a very high level. And I asked you kind of what you were doing, and you mentioned you did some pretty heavy duty biking, and I found that really fascinating. So do you want to just say a little bit about what that entailed? Because you seem to kind of cross train for 6 weeks and come back like you'd been running for 6 weeks. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, my views changed, but it depends on. I think it really depends on how long you're out for. After Rio, I just biked for like 5 weeks, just take time off from running, and then I think I did 2, maybe 3 weeks of training, 1.5 sessions, before I ran the infamous short Glasgow half.
Oh yes, I was in that race. Yes.
But,
you know,
of that,
just to close that story as well, I felt really bad because afterwards you beat was it Kip Zero, wasn't it? Kip Zero.
Yeah, Kip Zero.
And we finished, and you ran like a Scottish record 60-0, and it was like all over. And I was happy because I'd run like 61 high, and I was pleased. And then there was a lot of speculation over the short of the distance, and I spoke to the guys and said, "Are you sure?" And I remember texting you going, "Callum, they're telling me it's definitely right. You're fine. You've got the record. You'll be fine." And then I felt really bad because then I think there's been some roadworks or something, and we were like, I don't know, only 20 seconds short. I think
it was much. 150 meters. So.
Yeah, so it wasn't much. So it would have been a record, wouldn't it? But I felt for you that day.
Not to keep the side tangent going, but that actually helped me because I started running at 60 pace and training. Like I believed I was a 60 guy.
Yeah.
And then I was
That's
literally
interesting.
going through security to go to Maragami. And I got the phone call, it's short.
And how you obviously dealt with it in the best possible way, and I think that is kind of textbook. Like, you didn't ever work with a psychologist? It's just you.
No,
and that's your way of, because I think you've got a really good knack of just putting the positive side and a positive twist onto things, and then, like you say, just going on from there. And what did you run in Maragami?
60 flat.
Yeah.
I went to school, I was a 60 person. So.
Exactly.
Do you think the cycling
way.
helped you with that? Do you think the cycling, after Rio...
I wasn't cycling, I was just purely running at that point, well, apart from Rio.
But coming off Rio, do you think it was an aid to recovering and then getting going? Because even though Scotland, you say you'd run for 3 weeks, it was still a very, very good performance, and it added. Do you think that kind of helped?
Definitely, it allowed me to keep just the fitness up. It's like if you take 2 weeks off, technically your fitness shouldn't dip too much, but it feels like it does. So I think it just kept everything revved up. I was just having fun. I was basically doing an hour hard every day on the bike.
Oh wow!
For that time. But since then, I've had like almost a year of cycling when I had ankle surgery, and I think that's just too long. It's one of these things. I think it depends on how long you're going to be injured for. Or I don't know if you can. I don't think you can build running fitness from it, but you can definitely hold on to fitness to some degree. You might lose a bit of tendon stiffness and that, so your first hard session, or first week or two, might be a bit weird. You might not be quite as good, but yeah,
And
it's definitely helped keep everything going.
do you think there's an element of the fact that it works really well for a half, but for a full, you would have needed more time on your feet just to prepare for that, just being able to absorb the impact over the distance of the marathon? Because a half, you can kind of
Definitely.
get away with that fitness being there without necessarily the impact fitness being there.
Definitely in the old shoes. New shoes a bit different because there's people that are not running that much. There's a lot of new athletes coming in. Well, she's not really new, but Ailish, I don't think runs a huge amount of miles. She does a lot of cross training. Steph Davis, who went to the Olympics 20 for Tokyo, I think she was a kind of mixture. She was cross training a lot. She didn't run too much. Funny story, I actually tore my hamstring 3 weeks out before Doha, and so I was on the bike. I didn't start running until about 10 days before.
Hang on, the Doha you came fourth.
Yeah, it was like my last session.
What?
No, but I guess, I mean, you see the logic in that, Thommo. He's in phenomenal shape 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
It might
No,
have
I get
actually,
it.
it might have actually helped in terms of it stopped you overcooking it,
Well,
going in.
Yeah.
I want to know though, how did you mentally deal with that and then be mentally like park that up to perform like you did? That's incredible.
Again, I was just like, incredible shape, and I think this happened to me before in the past. I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's usually the hamstring. It just there was probably enough going around where I had to focus on heat stuff. I was kind of heating up my shed and doing hard runs in my shed with some heaters from it. Well, I said it was Aldi at the time. It turns out it was Lidl. I was lied to.
You didn't get sent some free heaters from Aldi then?
No.
Oh, Lidl might have sent me, see?
Do you know what? Do you know what I take is like it's something that my wife Gemma always says to me. Don't over what's the word I'm getting there. Don't worry, we can edit the pausing bits. Don't over exaggerate over exaggerate in your head. And I think that's the thing. Like it's a serious thing, but there's no benefit from making it bigger than it needs to be. And that's what I take from that. It's almost like, well, you shrug your shoulders, move on, but that's the only thing you can do in that situation, because if you over dramatize it in your head, it will become an issue that doesn't need to be, because you end up falling. So that's kind of what, as much as you kind of have this blasé attitude, it's actually a very powerful tool that you can apply in so many ways.
Huge strength for a marathon runner, isn't it, Callum? Because we all know that in a marathon build-up, there are going to be bumps, there are going to be times off, there are going to be things that go wrong, and the calmer you are, the more ready to accept them, deal with them, and move on, then the better the end result is going to be. And I think that's a perfect example of just doing what you had to do to get through it, maintaining the fitness and not panicking is other great advice so anybody out there listening who is in a marathon build up for London. These things will crop up, and it might be the week of the race, it might be 4 weeks before the race, it might be 6 weeks before the race, or even longer. But the calmer you stay when that happens, and the more you just get on with it, the better you're going to come through it.
Not to keep blowing myself up, but the time I was thinking about it happened again was before London 2017.
See?
Oh, wow.
So then it starts to become a good omen.
Yeah, it wasn't as close as that. I think it was like 8 weeks out, maybe 10 weeks. I tore my hamstring in Stamford, 10K.
Okay.
And then
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 6 weeks out, I got a really bad wisdom tooth infection. So I was on antibiotics. I couldn't open my jaw. So I was, and then that was like 2 weeks of not much running as well. And I was like, 6 weeks out, I think. But I was young enough where I had enough confidence and didn't think things through too much. And I knew my fitness was really, really good. So I could take the time off and not do too much damage.
Wow.
And, go on. I was just going
to say, there's how many times does an elite athlete perform and do something, and then there's always a story behind getting to that start
maybe
line
because
that doesn't always get heard.
you kind of get to the start line, you're that bit more grateful to actually be there, able to race, that you kind of also seize it and you're happier. There's a lot less stress going into it and more just, right, I'm going to do what I can, because there was a point where I doubted that I'd even be able to be at this point racing. We could chat to you forever, Callum, and I think you've given us so much great inspiration to the people out there who are kind of trying to plug on through their training. The podcast runs through to the London Marathon. They're working towards that. I need to ask you what's next for you. What is next on your agenda?
Well, a tiny bit. For when I was doing Valencia, I've been struggling with breathing problems the last couple of years. Just I get tightness in my chest and it can't be saved. So I've given myself a little bit more time. That's why I'm not doing London, and just a little bit of Achilles niggles. But there might be looking at something down under in July.
Okay.
Kind of exorcist some demons.
If it's the down under I'm thinking of, I'm with you.
Yeah. We might even get
that's
Thommo
a
going to that
tease.
one. We can have a little reenactment.
I might actually make it. I might make it past some bridge that I had a little nap on.
Well, and I think just for this point to close, is there? I'd love to get like just one or two tips for people that are running London from you, with the experience you has as one of our greatest marathon runners we've ever had, and a 208 in London. Any closing tips that you could offer people?
Just enjoy it. I mean, every time I've ran in London, crowds have been ridiculous. I remember, that time when I ran 2019. There was some point, 2019, sorry. There were some points where it was so loud that my head was hurting.
Wow.
Just the crowds. I remember it was like a kind of switchback corner, and it must have been 3-4 deep on every side. It was just ridiculous. So, and the crowds always come out. It's such a great day. It's such a great marathon. And it's such a great city. Just go out, enjoy it. It will hurt, so when it starts hurting, don't worry about it. Just push on.
Just think of Callum.
You've heard it here from Callum. If it hurts, don't worry about it.
Don't think about it. Yeah, block it out. Absolutely golden advice. Thank you so much, Callum. Really do wish you the very best of luck. It would be so great to see you coming back and smashing back those times where you kind of belong. And it's also extremely inspiring to see you keeping working through all those injuries and not losing that genuine love for the marathon distance.
Cheers. Thanks.
You're a legend.
Well, that was fascinating to listen to, wasn't it, Thommo? Absolutely loved the way that his mental fortitude and resilience is something that he's completely unaware of.
Yeah, well, he takes. I mean, it's something that I had to learn myself. Is sometimes you have to remove the emotion from the challenge, and it's not a negative thing, because to say take an emotion out suggests you don't care. That's not the point. You're just trying not to escalate problems into being bigger than they need to be to deal with. And I think he epitomised that. The way he answered, his slow, deliberate kind of answers were just perfect. And it's like he's such an incredibly talented, humble, fantastic athlete. And even the fact he forgets sometimes that, well, not forgets, like he's not on the tip of his tongue to say an excuse. It was, I was fourth in Doha, but he tore his hamstring three weeks before. But to him, it's not an issue. It's, just move on. I think people can take so much from all of that.
Definitely. And I think, it was one thing we didn't have time to bring up with him, but I know that Steve Jones mentored Callum through parts of his career. And there's certainly an element of Jonesy's toughness and just get on with it attitude, isn't there, that is reflected in Callum and the way that he trains, the way that he races.
Definitely. I mean, Steve Jones being one of Britain's finest, he won Chicago, London, Boston, just sort of epitomised, like you say, toughness. And I mean, his world record, when he ran his world record 2:7, went out in 61 for the first half. But it was funny, like we touched upon his cross country win or his third place in after he'd come ninth at the Olympics. And one of my takeaways from that race was he took that aggressive front running mentality to everyone in that race. The way he approached it, even though it was shorter, he didn't stay away from his just gun-ho mindset, and it got him that bronze medal. And I think exactly that the Steve Jones mentality, that kind of forward thinking, front foot running, is something to admire and very, very inspirational. I mean, you were as well.
Yeah.
You were a front runner as well yourself.
Well, I mean, I think you run to your strengths, and that's what I think really came across from Callum is the awareness that when he caught that lead four in Doha that goes through his head where he knows they're playing games. He knows it's not in his best interest to hang around and play those games. And I just love the way he just put his foot down around a hairpin because he knew that was where he was strong. And it's almost just like intuitively, without overthinking it, he just runs a race to his strengths. And that, of course, gets harder when you keep getting held back by the injuries that he's had since. And I think that is another area, as I mentioned at the end, where I have a huge amount of admiration for Callum, that he keeps on plugging away. He keeps persevering through all of these setbacks because they're probably more consecutive and through a longer period than any of those tests that he had building into major champs. And I kind of have every confidence. I'm certainly rooting for him to get through those and to come back. And he's got another big one in him.
Yeah, no, completely. And he said before he came on air, and I think it got recorded, but he said he will keep running for as long as he enjoys doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when you enjoy it, you know, you're going to continue to try and find the best in yourself. And I think he hopefully, and like you say, I trust he will, and support him to be there, because as an ex-teammate, and he says competitor, which was very flattering, but as an ex-teammate or admirer on the course, I look forward to watching him smash the roads again.
So from one guy who knows which race he's getting ready for next time to two guys that we are following through as they get ready for London. I think it's going well so far, Thommo, and it's time for the next update from Harry and Gab. Now, we have teased it a little bit already, but it is time to drop in with Harry Judd and training partner Gab and see how their training is progressing on their road to London. One of you looks as though you've just got back from a run. Is that right, Harry?
No, actually, I haven't. So today, I've been really scatty this week. Today, I forgot my running shoes. I went into work, working on Magic Breakfast at the moment. I've been running back from Magic to home every day for my kind of easy runs. And today, I forgot my shoes. But I took that as a bit of a sign, because I I've been talking to Chris and Gab for a few weeks now about, you know, this Magic deload week, because I feel like I've needed it. So I've reduced my mileage this week, and today, I went out yesterday for just an 8K easy, which is the shortest one we've done in a while, which was nice. But still, like, I was a bit sore in my left hamstring, and so today when I forgot my shoes, I thought I'm going to take that as a sign and have a complete rest day.
Smart.
Coach is happy with that.
Yeah. Coach has got a big grin on his face.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased.
Whereas Gab just cannot let go of these numbers, can you, Gab?
Yeah, no, anything to get one ahead of you, to be honest with you. Music's my ears that you've missed the run.
When I gave you boys to that point, Harry, I did kind of give you boys a bit of an option this week to kind of reduce as much as you felt, and because obviously we've got to be a bit sympathetic to you both, kind of have different commitments and other things. But Gab, you mentioned about you changed your shoe, and
yeah,
what happened there?
Don't get him started, Chris.
Oh, really?
Well, when you spend so much time around Harry running and hearing about his ailments, then you feel that it rubs off on you, and so I felt like it was about time that I had something to complain about. I was due an upgrade on my shoes, and I've been running in some Sauconys, and I moved across to the New Balance in Elite V4s, which I understood some relatively stable carbon shoes, and great shoes, but because obviously they're different to what I've been used to, and didn't call my coach and ask him for advice, just went straight in and ran 24 kilometers in them. Felt good during the run, but yeah, the next morning when I then went out for an easy run, I felt quite a lot of pain, which according to ChatGPT was plantar fasciitis in my right foot and in the arch. So just been dealing with that, basically.
First bit of advice there is ChatGPT is not a qualified physio, so we do advise that you make an appointment with an actual qualified physio to ascertain whether it is indeed plantar fasciitis.
Got it.
Or there's a podcast that might be able to help you out with some exercises there. But I guess seriously, good thing is, did it wear off on that run or did it get worse?
Yeah, yeah, no, it did, and I feel like the more running that you do, the more you get used to sort of just managing little niggles and getting through them as opposed to thinking it's the end of the world. Obviously, there was a period that morning where I decided it was the end of the world and my athletic career was over. Um, but yeah, it definitely eased up over a kilometre or so, which gave me a little bit of hope for the week ahead.
Yeah, what you need to do, Gab, is you need to apply the 10-minute rule. Okay, this is what me, Paula, and Thommo
See,
do. You
absolutely.
know,
Well
Very
remembered,
good.
Harry.
Very
Very
good.
impressed.
yeah,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
Got
Just
it.
so, do you want to? Because it was quite. It had a couple of things in it in that session. Do you want it, guys? Do you want to? Because Harry, I enjoyed your feedback on the session you did on the weekend because you did
Yeah.
a tempo, some shorter reps, and then a bit of a tempo at the end. And
Yes.
how that felt during was you gave interesting feedback on that.
Yes, well, I can give you an emotional rundown. The first 20-minute warm up at about 5:05, 5:10 felt a bit, oh God, here we go. And then 40 minutes at 4:30s consisted of me and Gab mainly talking about how the hell did we run this pace for 3 hours and 10 minutes in the Amsterdam
Mm.
Marathon. And
Whilst
Gab's
trying
was
to
like,
keep up with your Labrador.
with my Labrador, yeah. And Gab, I seem to remember Gab saying something like, I just don't think we did. Fake news. I don't think we did. And then we stopped. I had a 5-minute rest, and then we went into some intervals. How long were they, Gab? And they were 5 minutes at first, so 5-minute rest, then 5-minute interval. As sort of based on feel, which is always dangerous with us, and
Yeah.
off we flew. We did a pretty sharp 5-minute burst, and it felt utterly shocking. And immediately when we went into the 3-minute rest, Gab said, "You do realise that's not even our 5K pace." Which was slightly worrying. And then we did a 4-minute rep, which felt a bit better, and then a 3-minute rep, which felt actually really strong. And then we had another 5-minute rest, and then into half an hour of 4:20s to 4:25. And I felt great. It was the first time I was trotting along. Honestly, what blows my mind about running is I'm doing those 4:30s at the beginning of the session, feeling awful, feeling like, how on earth are we ever going to run a sub-3 marathon? So then running the 4:20s at actually at 4:15, just trotting along. It literally feels like I'm jogging. I don't think Gab was feeling quite as fresh as I was that day.
Well, no, what
Because
happened?
he was behind me. He was behind me going, Chris said it. Chris said, stick to your paces this week, mate.
I was like, he's going to be angry with you. It's true.
I said,
Well, you
he
know
said
why?
4:25 to
Hang
4:20,
on.
and he said, no, he didn't. He
You
said
know
4:25
why?
to 4:30. He got his phone out, checked it, and I was right.
All right, there's a few things there. Number one, I had my phone out because Harry had asked me to film him for some Instagram content for a start.
Which I haven't used because he's a shocking cameraman.
That's number
Okay,
one.
children.
And second of all, Harry always says, "Oh, yeah, I sort of need Chris to tell us to not, just push it with the pace. I need to be saying, no, you must keep to that pace." So I was trying to be the good angel in his ear. And what had happened as well is that because we're working on our fueling as well, because especially when we get out really early, we find it's kind of quite easy to just not fuel in the way that you would for the marathon or for a longer run. So we often don't eat before. And in this one, right, it's like we're gonna get our gels in. We had a gel after 40 minutes. And then we stopped just before the last effort, the 3-minute one, which was the fastest one. And I was there busy adjusting my new shoes, and Harry was just casually sipping away at a gel. And with about 10 seconds to go of the break, he then said, "Oh, it's been another 40 minutes, so we should really have this one now." And I was just not thinking straight and just downed this gel with 10 seconds to go, straight into a sort of 3:35 effort. And just that was it. Stitch central for the for the last 15 minutes of the tempo, and thoroughly unenjoyable.
So, Gab, you got a stitch. It happens. What did you do? Did you manage to run it off, or did you have to stop and stretch it?
Yeah,
He
I mean, the
moaned.
pace
He moaned
was-
for 30 minutes. That's what happened.
The pace is hard for a roaming cameraman. The pace was just about okay to manage it. basically. I do find that if you're going at a pace where it isn't, then often like the only option is just to stop, and take some time to let it go. We once had an experience where we both did a 10K in over in Victoria Park, and because it was an afternoon or early evening race, which was completely out of our comfort zone. We sort of got in each other's heads throughout the day about when we should or shouldn't be eating, and we didn't leave enough time. And yeah, I set off and saw Harry pulled over at the side of the road 3K in, and then I pulled over at the side of the road 2K later, because we both completely mismanaged the fueling for that one. And yeah, I remember with that, it's like you just have to stop and let it go. But yeah, I sort of clung on for dear life on this one and made it through.
It's a really good session, boys. Like I
Yeah.
have to say, you both are acquitting yourself quite brilliantly, and I've followed your progress. We've been doing bits and bobs for a year, but it genuinely is. I think the two of you working together and still smiling is my biggest takeaway from this. You're still enjoying it, but while we're here, is there any things from your point of view where you're at in terms of, certainly for the audience, and advice at this point? I mean, because we're still we've hit 24K as you mentioned, but we've still got room to grow going down the line.
Yeah, I think this week for me, definitely just easing off a bit. I would hate to push too hard and pull up with an injury. I'd be absolutely gutted. So I feel like, I've been putting in a lot of work for several weeks now. So, and also we've got a 5K on Saturday, because comparing this marathon build to last year, I did just get a bit exhausted with the training. It was just going on for so long. So this year, the plan is to put in a couple of 5K PB, well, a 5K PB attempt, maybe a half marathon race, just to remind yourself why you do it, to kind of get that high moment of getting a PB. And so obviously with that in mind, on Saturday, I've eased off a bit this week, and I'm also the past 2-3 weeks been trying to get back to a bit of strength work as well, which is quite hard to fit in when you're doing, and I say only 2 sessions, but we're doing 2 sessions a week, one on the Tuesday, one on the long run. So fitting in that strength work is quite hard. But what I'm doing now, which I think you guys have advised, is trying to do it on the Tuesday after the session, and loading all that hard work into one day to allow for more recovery time.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
think
think
it's the real advice, isn't it, Thommo, is just to do it whenever it works for you. But ideally not right before the hard workout. So yeah, if you're doing it on the Tuesday, do it after the hard workout, not before it.
Yeah, just a note to that is, again, the Tuesday session is less volume, because obviously the longer runs on the weekend, and the stuff on the Tuesday
Yeah.
that we're doing is very much, it's the way I kind of coin it, is set up work for the weekend. So it is part of that process. So but again, for you both, like, I think, because we had a moment, didn't we, Gab, where I think your run, no, sorry, Harry, it was you, wasn't it? You did a bit aggressive on the run on the Wednesday after that heavy Tuesday. A friend
Yeah,
got you
yeah.
carried away, so we had to kind of push back the long run a day, and you had
Yes,
to take an extra.
exactly. And this week, genuinely, like, I've been running for 4 years now, and I've waxed lyrical about the recovery run to everyone, but I genuinely think finally I understand the meaning of a recovery run. We went out and did that. We went out and did that session on Saturday, that 24K, and worked really hard, and it felt great, and I felt really confident off the back of it. I was absolutely ruined on Monday, and I ran back from Magic Radio, and I was just like, ugh. And I just allowed myself the 5:50 pace, just really slow. And I was like, okay, this is a recovery run. Like, there was chat about zone 2 and recovery runs. And actually, so allowing myself to run slower is, I think, going to be quite important for me moving forward. I mean, if you look at Gab Strava, he's bang on 5:05s every easy run. But
I'm just
so we're
quickly going to
taking
give you
slightly
two
different routes.
guys a warning if you're chatting to Sophie. If you're chatting to Sophie, can you please underline the fact you're talking in Ks? Because she goes out and she tries to run that mile pace, and she gets very upset. So yeah,
Sure.
so you need to
This
just
is,
underline for everyone
we were,
listening,
yeah.
you're not
To
running
be
an
honest,
easy
it's
pace
all,
by
Kilometers.
50
Yeah.
yeah.
miles.
I
And
mean,
then,
a side note to that is, since working with Chris, like, having to work in minutes and not kilometers has been like learning a new language. Because the sort of plans we've been doing before, it's like X amount of K at this pace, X amount of K at this pace. And then Chris has come in with this archaic suggestion of running for 15 minutes at a certain pace. And we just had to, yeah, as I
That
said,
kind
like
of comes
completely
from
new
the
language.
generation that grew up before GPS watches. So
Got
you
it.
kind of were most accurate in getting it done 2 times. But the other quick thing that you guys can think about, Harry, if you're struggling to put in the strength and conditioning, is you can always break it down. So you don't have to do it in a couple of big sessions per week. You can do it in 5-10 minutes a day. That is another
Okay.
way to put it into the week, if it makes it any easier to fit it in.
That does make sense. Yeah. I think it's a bit like with my running. Once I start the strength, I start like pushing too hard and start, I need to do that exercise and now that one. And then, yeah, struggle the next few days. But no, that's great advice. Thanks, Paula.
So what is next for this week, Thommo?
Well, as you say, they're both gonna do the park run, and it's been a bit of a deload week. But again, as Harry just mentioned, we kind of, and I was quite keen. I like to put in little races or little things in there because it helps with mentally kind of breaking things up. But secondly, gives you an excuse just to back off a bit, which is what this reason is for. And then we will enter another 3-week block before looking to pull back again for the half marathon and then the final stretch in. And hopefully, as Harry says, these boys will still be as enthusiastic in every 3 weeks we touch base with them as they are right now.
Well, the other thing is a PB always makes you feel better, doesn't it? It kind of puts in that feel good factor, and you get to measure off. I don't know if you ran one in the last build up for the marathon, did you? 5K, you get to measure off kind of where you're at and make those adjustments.
Yeah. Well, whilst I was off touring around the country, Gab was busy smashing PBs and now has faster times than me. So essentially, we know what needs to be done.
There's some catch up to do. So good luck. We look forward to hearing where you get to on that and who comes out on top. I'm sure there won't be any making the other person pay in any way whatsoever.
You mean
boys,
fall over?
Please play nice with each other, please. I don't want injury.
Yeah, remember, no, seriously, you are underlining what we keep saying about find a training partner, because it does make it more fun. And so in a light-hearted way, I'm sure you are both seeing the benefit of having somebody there to motivate you. And it's interesting that there's always one who's a bit more up than the other for different sessions, and that kind of helps pull the other one along. So might be you with a stitch next time, Harry, so don't take the piss too much.
The week before, Paula, it was me, and it was Gab just like floating along going, oh, this feels cruisy. And I was like, what? I feel awful. Like,
there was no
that's
request for Instagram footage at that point.
Absolutely none. I think that's important to remember. I was talking to someone the other day because my bandmate Danny and his wife Georgia, they've just started running a bit. They signed up to a half marathon. I was chatting to his wife Georgia, who got up to the 10K distance, and she was really nervous. She'd never run that far, and it didn't go very well for her. And we were speaking. She said, I felt really shaky and like I needed to eat, and it was the afternoon. And again, I was just reiterating to her that not every run is going to be successful, and it's a massive learning curve each run. And for her, that was obviously a fueling thing and what time of day she was running. And, every week me and Gab are constantly like saying, oh yeah, this reminds me of that time I felt like that. And that day I felt really good. And so, yeah, it's not getting disheartened if you have a bad day. It's just all part of the journey.
It's also the marathon is, everyone says the marathon is a different beast. And it's the same with the entire block. It's not linear. You don't just start here and get there and and everything works out perfectly. And I think it's quite hard for us runners because we're always sort of setting our sights out of the things we want to achieve on any given run or any given week. But the block is long, so you have to sort of go easy on yourself as well, and recognize that it's not always going to go perfectly, and just take the next run as a next opportunity to get it right, really.
Having said that, you also have to be well equipped with excuses. So if, for example, we don't make a PB on Saturday, there'll be a stitch, there'll be a bit of a sore hamstring, I didn't sleep well.
You must have already drafted your Strava.
I'm working on it. I'm in comms with ChatGPT about potential excuses for Saturday.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, best of luck, guys. Really look forward to hearing how the outcome of this 5K is, and good luck with the rest of the training. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for letting us share a little bit of your journey.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Awesome to hear from the both of them. personally, I'm very proud of them. They really are acquitting themselves quite brilliantly and enthusiastically. So it's keeping me on my toes to provide the best coaching I can, which is fantastic. But looking forward to hearing from them down the road, and I will certainly try and mini updates as we go along. But we're now moving into the 1 minute challenge with you, Paula. Producers don't dare give it to me because they know I can't stick to a minute.
I think it is time for you to have one again soon. But
No,
go on, yeah.
we don't.
So
need
what's
to do
this
that.
one?
So the minute challenge for you today, Paula, is dealing with an injury challenge. When did you have to dig deep and and with the psychological pressure of the injury? Your minute starts now.
Oh, so the hardest thing I think with injury is the accepting it. It seems so unfair at the time. You look out the window, you're driving backwards and forwards to physio, and all it seems you can see is other people running, and they're totally fine. You don't have an injury. So you do have the injury, and you can't get out and do that. So for me, a big thing is understanding the why. If I can understand what led to it, even if it's only possibles, and then what can I do about it? What am I going to do with that training time where I would like to be out running? I'm not. So I'm going to cross train as hard as I can, work out the frustration there. I'm going to learn the lessons so it doesn't happen again. And I'm going to put all of that energy and time into rehabbing it. So it is lots of boring, repetitive exercises, lots of time on a cross trainer where you kind of have got to imagine it in your head. You're actually out there running, and just keep visualizing being back running in the future. Never let go of that. I will get back there. I will be able to be out there running again very soon.
How do you do it? That could have been a whole podcast.
I had to go a bit slower then because I started a bit fast.
No, you that could have been a whole podcast. That was really impressive. That was very good. I mean, in one because obviously that was 58 seconds. So in 2 seconds, to finish it, what was the race or event that epitomised all that?
Oh gosh, the race or event?
Yeah, the race that you performed in that had all that kind of stuff you talked about that you had to overcome to get on the start line perform.
I mean, I think for me, it probably... It's something. The biggest injury I had was right back in the beginning when my navicular was bad in 1994, and I actually got sent to the World Cross Country for team morale. I'm not sure what team morale somebody crying their eyes out on crutches brought to the event, and it certainly didn't do me a lot of good. But I did visualize and watch the race and think, okay, I will get back here at some point in the future. I didn't imagine it would take as long as it did, and it was pretty much a year out before I was back racing at the World Cross Country in Durham in 95, and I wasn't fit enough really to do myself justice, but my mind went out as if I was getting rid of all of those frustrations, and I think I was in a medal position at the top of the hill, and there only was a K and a bit downhill to the finish, and I managed to drop back to about 19th, I think. But yeah, that was a tough one. And then the other one was right at the end when it was kind of the battle back just to be able to run after couldn't run the Olympics in 2012 and my foot finally collapsed on me. That was the other worst one.
Yeah, I was there in Font-Romeu and that was tough. Well, we were both going through different things for different ways, but that was I think for both of us individually that was a tough time. But yeah. We'll skirt through that, past that one.
It was. Right. So now training times at the minute and how can that mental... Well, I guess picking up on the injury thing, this is, as we talked about with Callum, we're in now week 7 of a 16-week build towards London. You need to start being really aware of what are the little tightnesses that you can run through and the ones that it is just... more prudent, more wise, and a little bit safer to back off and to try and get some physio. And if you can, just do a little bit of cross training for a little bit and kind of just err on the side of caution where less is more, certainly impact wise, and perhaps start introducing, as the volume of longer runs goes up, perhaps start introducing a cross training kind of non-impact day in the week. Do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Callum summed it up really nicely that cross training or taking away a little bit of the impact can offer a nice bridge to sessions, whether it's because there is a niggle that you have to be mindful of or just fatigue. just taking away some of that impact at this stage and having the confidence that your fitness, and that was the thing Callum kept saying, he had confidence in his fitness, and people should have confidence they've got that, and there's still time, and there's no need to panic or overdo things at this point. It's playing the long game, and a few days here or there of cross training or even fully backing off. Certainly with Gab and Harry, I gave them the option if they felt they needed it to either do a very small session or even not even do anything, because at this point that's not gonna dictate what happens on the day in London. So yeah, cross training, taking a little bit off is a really good time. And if in doubt, I would, if you're really unsure, then probably a day off or cross training is probably the right answer.
Well, I mean, I would advise kind of regular day offs through the training schedule anyway, just to stay on top of it. But did you ever, so we talk about the fact that most marathon cycles, you kind of built into those that there's going to be a little bit of a niggle. There's going to be maybe 5, 6, 7 days where you might have to take off due to illness, due to injury. Those little things are kind of built in, and it may be more than one of them. Did you ever have a perfect run through where you actually chose to take time off just because you hadn't had a niggle and you didn't want to risk it? Or did you did you always have little issues pop up? I know I probably did.
I was going to say, I think you ran a fair few more marathons than me. I can't think of a single marathon where there wasn't something.
Yeah.
Ironically, the closest I got to the most uninterrupted marathon was my first one. But even with that, I think 3 or 4 weeks out, when I was trying to do my key session, I got a real bad stomach issue. And it did actually take a bit of an edge off on the day. I still ran all right. 2:11:19 in old shoes is reasonable for a debut. But I lost a bit of training. It didn't, when I say lost, I'm not, there was a hiccup. But I think every marathon other than that had actually there were huge problems I had for whatever reason. So it'd be difficult for any professional athlete or any athlete not to have something happen. It's just, because what's that line that people say is the less, you don't want glamorous training. You want it almost to look ordinary. You want training to look ordinary and then the marathon looks spectacular, rather than spectacular training, because it's about doing the ordinary rather than it's about training,
performing at the time. And you're right. I mean, when I think about it, I can't think of one where I didn't have the small. Even sometimes they were small, sometimes they were bigger, sometimes they were a long way out. Actually, probably the smoothest one, looking back, was when I came back after Isla, but that was because I was held back by an injury when I first got into training. So then once I was able to start the build for New York, I think that one went through. The biggest hiccup we might have had there was we went to drop her off at the creche, and it would have maybe been about four weeks or so before the race, and they said, just to let you know, there's chickenpox circling around the creche, so it's really good to basically let her come into contact with it to build up her immunity. It's really good she gets chickenpox. And so we got in the car, drove down the road about 100 metres, and then went, nah, not today. She can get chickenpox after the marathon, not before, because that was a risk that I didn't want to, just be dealing with a baby that's not very well, because that's taking away energy as well. I'd had chickenpox, so it wasn't a risk for me. But yeah, that was probably the smoothest through, but it was still coming back from other stuff, and there still would have been little niggles.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's why I was thinking, like, before my Kew Gardens Olympic trials, I had the best 8 weeks pre.
Yeah.
But I had obviously broken my hand. I was in hospital and had an absolute mess of a time up to that point. So yeah, and 8 weeks out is not really a full thing. So yeah, you get blocks of perfection.
Yeah, but the big thing is just to stay flexible, isn't it? Stay flexible, and like we keep saying, just err on the side of caution. If you need to put in a rest day, put in a rest day. Certainly a good idea to make sure that you've got a cross-training session and a built-in rest day into your training schedule. Cannot emphasise that enough. Okay, so before we go any further, I'd like to just take a moment to thank our friends at Wild Nutrition for sponsoring this episode. They are still offering our listeners 50% off for 3 months, which is a brilliant way to kick off your year in style.
Yeah, it's a really good offer, Paula, isn't it? And I think for most of us, especially right now when we're in the midst of very hard training, that The food-grown energy support is exactly what we need to feel armed to tackle each day head on with all the training. It's packed full of essential B vitamins that can really make a difference.
Yeah, it does. And it's not just those B vitamins. It contains iron, magnesium, and the extra vitamin B12 to support energy production while reducing tiredness and fatigue. And it's great for the immune system and antioxidant health as well, which is so important when you're putting in and slogging away at those miles.
Yeah, what stands out to me with this is it's unlike that kind of caffeine like quick fix. Energy support provides sustained energy throughout the day. It's a much steadier approach to your routine.
Yeah, that's because Wild Nutrition believes that your body is wired to recognise and absorb those nutrients far better from food. So they never add synthetic fillers or binders ever. It's just quality ingredients that your body recognises.
So that's Wild Nutrition are giving Paula's Run Club listeners an exclusive 50% off for 3 months with a free personal consultation and with a nutritional therapist. Just go to wildnutrition.com/Paula to get started.
Yep, that is wildnutrition.com/Paula. Start 2026 rooted in wellness. Normal terms and conditions apply. And just quickly sticking with the ads, we do still have that offer running, started last week, back with NordVPN. Are you going to explain a bit about that, Thommo?
Well, yeah, it's basically for people who spend a lot of time travelling abroad for races or for working or any such purpose, and it's potentially a lifesaver for people to keep up to speed with whatever they're watching and listening to at home.
Absolutely. I use it to follow a lot of the athletic events. And then, as I think I mentioned last week, when my kids and I are watching movies or certain things and we're following those and streaming them at home, when I'm traveling, I like to not let them get too far ahead of me. And they're very bad at doing that. So I can stay level with them while I'm traveling.
It's always a competition with you. For anyone that doesn't know, do you want to explain what NordVPN actually does?
Absolutely. So it stands for a virtual private network, and it offers you extra privacy and security. So it's not just about being able to stream everything that you would normally follow at home, but with one click you could change your device's virtual location. So basically you can carry on watching and using your device as if you were still at home while you travel and enjoy the sunshine or wherever you have travelled to. And even better, you don't have to be a tech wizard to make it work.
So even I can do it then?
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's something that I have used myself in the past when I've been abroad, and it's easy and simple, and it certainly, like you say, stops you from missing out on your favourite box sets, and it's something you can use the internet while you're away and just keep you in touch with the home comforts.
Definitely. And of course, because you're listening to our podcast, we have that exclusive discount offer for you. You need to head to nordvpn.com/Paula's Run Club or follow the clickable link that we now have apparently somewhere, maybe in the link below somewhere.
Nice, smooth segue. Yes, you'll be able to get a massive discount with 4 extra months thrown in, all with a 30-day money-back guarantee too.
And also, of course, with school holidays coming up, it is perfect for keeping the kids happy. While you're on the go, you can have up to 10 devices. That's phones, laptops, iPads going on the same account, which is absolutely brilliant.
Go on then, remind us that code again.
It is nordvpn.com/Paula's Run Club. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
And that is about all we've managed to squeeze into this episode. It's been another great one. I hope you picked up some inspiration and motivation from Callum and the nuggets he passed on, and from how everyone else's training is going. Hope all your training is going well. Please don't forget that the Shakeout drops every Thursday. And if you want to send in questions, it is Paula's Run Club at momentumbroadcast.co.uk. You can send them on socials to @Paula's Run Club. And the WhatsApp number is +44 7564 747 914. This has been a Momentum Broadcast production. We will see you next week, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. And now I remember, no conditioner.